Massive waves are turning streets into raging rivers across Sicily. Locals are running for their lives as Storm Harry unleashes tsunami-style surges that are smashing through Italian coastal towns right now. This Tuesday night, the central Mediterranean became a battlefield. Storm Harry struck with devastating force. What's happening changes everything for communities across Sicily, Sardinia, and Calabria. The Italian authorities have activated emergency protocols across 3 entire regions. Red alerts blanket the affected zones. The threat is specific and immediate. Here's the stark reality facing the island. In Catania, Sicily's second-largest city, storm surges breached the 5-meter mark. That's over 16 feet of seawater rising above normal levels. CCTV cameras captured the moment a massive wave obliterated the windows of Andrew's Faro restaurant, a high-end seafood eatery positioned directly on the waterfront. Glass shattered, tables destroyed, chairs sent tumbling, everything in its path demolished in seconds. The footage shows water rushing through the interior, transforming a dining room into a disaster zone before anyone could react. The violence isn't isolated to one location. On the island of Lipari, off Sicily's northern coast, a towering storm surge smashed straight into the harbor with brutal force. White water flooded surrounding streets instantly. Ferocious winds drove wave after wave relentlessly through the shore. Sea foam reached the ground floors of buildings, coating walls and windows in thick layers of salt spray. Passers-by waded through waist-deep water, desperate to reach safety as the deluge continued. Dramatic footage shared across social media platforms shows the terror in real time. Locals can be seen running and screaming as water converts their familiar streets into raging torrents. Roads and pavements disappeared beneath powerful waves that submerged everything in their path. The scenes resemble tsunami footage, except this is a storm system, not a seismic event. Wind gusts reached 74 miles per hour across Sicily. That's hurricane-force velocity by any standard. Waves exceeded 9 meters. That's nearly 30 feet of destructive power slamming into coastal infrastructure repeatedly. The combination proves deadly for anything standing in its way. In Messina, a port city facing the mainland across the Strait of Messina, conditions became so severe that a section of the seaside promenade collapsed entirely. The structure simply gave way under the relentless assault. Years of engineering, tons of concrete and steel, reduced to rubble by the mechanical force of water driven by extreme winds. Picture this mechanism working in real time. Storm Harry's rotating winds push massive volumes of seawater toward shore. The storm system acts like a giant paddle, displacing water horizontally across hundreds of miles of open Mediterranean. As the water encounters shallower depths near the coast, it has nowhere to go but up and forward. The seabed rises, compressing the water column, forcing it upward with tremendous energy. The result, walls of water that transform peaceful streets into torrents within seconds. The surge doesn't arrive as a single wave, it comes in pulses, each one potentially larger than the last. Before we continue, don't forget to hit subscribe and ring the notification bell to keep you updated. Right now, 190 people have been evacuated from exposed areas across Sicily. The evacuation orders came as officials recognized the threat of sudden surges and catastrophic flooding. These aren't precautionary measures based on worst-case scenarios. They're responses to conditions already wreaking havoc across multiple municipalities. Emergency personnel are moving families from low-lying coastal zones to higher ground, working against deteriorating conditions and limited time. Several towns ordered the immediate closure of schools, parks, and sports facilities. The directive came down from municipal authorities, who understood that keeping these facilities open could prove deadly. Firefighters are working block by block, helping families evacuate their homes as floodwaters rise. The images show first responders wading through knee-deep water, carrying children and elderly residents to waiting vehicles. The island is expecting up to 300 millimeters of rain in just 2 days. That's nearly 12 inches of precipitation saturating ground already compromised by storm surges and high winds. The soil can't absorb water at that rate. The drainage systems weren't designed for this volume. The excess water has one destination, downhill into populated areas. Streets across affected zones show the aftermath. Debris scattered everywhere. Rubbish bags floating down flooded roads like grotesque buoys. The normal infrastructure of daily life reduced to waterlogged wreckage. Maritime conditions have forced the suspension of all ferries to Sardinia and smaller islands. Scores of people are stranded, unable to leave, unable to receive supplies or reinforcements. The ferry networks that connect these island communities have been completely shut down. The seas are too violent. The risk too great. Harbour masters across the region made the call to cease all operations until Storm Harry passes. The threat extends beyond Sicily's shores. In Malta, winds reached 65 miles per hour. Videos show forceful waves crashing onto streets, palm trees semi-submerged in rising water, their fronds whipping violently in the gale-force winds. In the Maltese town of Mariscala, seawater smashed through glass doors and flooded the interior of a home. The footage is startling, ocean water pouring into living spaces where families should be safe, filling rooms with salt water and debris. Malta's Civil Protection Department issued specific warnings that reveal the scope of danger. Avoid working at heights including rooftops, balconies, scaffolding, and exposed structures. Stay away from the shoreline breakwaters and coastal paths. The message is clear: this storm kills those who underestimate it. The warnings aren't suggestions, they're survival instructions. Emergency services in Malta have responded to more than 180 incidents since Storm Harry arrived. That's 180 calls for help. Flooded homes, collapsed structures, people trapped by rising water. Each incident requires personnel, equipment, and time that authorities are struggling to provide as conditions worsen. Flights and ferries heading to the island were diverted or canceled, cutting off transportation networks and isolating the island nation. Across the Mediterranean, the storm's reach extends to Spain's southern coast. Yellow warnings for wind and towering waves cover the Andalusia region. The Spanish Meteorological Service is tracking the system carefully. Malaga and Almeria are bracing for wind gusts of 43 miles per hour on Wednesday. Coastal businesses are boarding up windows. Residents are securing loose objects. France's northwestern coastal regions face heavy rain and forceful winds as the storm's influence spreads across the basin. Scientists are tracking Storm Harry's path and intensity. The Mediterranean doesn't typically produce storms of this magnitude. The question facing meteorologists is whether this represents a shift in regional weather patterns or an isolated extreme event. Communities across Sicily face a stark reality tonight. The shoreline has been transformed into an active threat zone. Infrastructure designed to withstand normal conditions is buckling under Storm Harry's relentless assault. The waterfront that draws tourists and supports local economies has become the most dangerous place on the island. The question facing residents isn't whether more surges will come, it's when and how much worse conditions will become before this storm finally breaks. Don't forget to subscribe and stay updated on this developing situation. Hit that notification bell so you never miss critical weather alerts that could save lives.